Hi guys. Oh, I got it finally.
The LDV work van range. All kinds of work vans for all kinds of work.
I'm jumping the gun here a little bit. We're going to talk about how prehistory, the giants, the Nephilim, shaped end time prophecy.
The giants, which are the offspring of the fallen angels, they are described as serpents. But this is also telling us that this bloodline is going to be with us throughout history.
Yeah.
So somehow, some way, we're going to be dealing with the giants and the ramifications of the fallen angels that has been plaguing us ever since.
The fallen angels that have been reputations of 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 the fallen angels.
What a hassle that's been.
Jesus has.
Looks like I fixed
From
it.
that point on, the fallen angels.
Okay.
How prehistory,
Hi Di.
giants,
Hi Shawnee. Hi Phil. Good to see you guys.
prophecy.
The giants, which are the offspring of the fallen angels, they are described as serpents. But this is also telling us that this bloodline is going to be with us throughout history.
Yeah.
So somehow, some way, we're going to be dealing with the giants and the ramifications of the fallen angels that has been plaguing us.
Fox News will give me a strike, Shawnee. I can't play for news like that. I'll get a strike.
Ever since.
We see that he goes and he speaks to these spirits. But then we see in the book of Revelation, they will be released in the time of tribulation.
Not even the fallen angels know what the end game for God is going to be until the conversation that Jesus has with them. From that point on, the fallen angels know the gig is up. Just Jesus and the disciples, they travel up to the Bashan region, and Bashan is called the land of giants. Mount Hermon is not well discussed within the church, and it's probably the
Guys, I can't play that. That's Fox News and they'll give me a copyright strike. And the news channels and that are really strict on it.
most important place on the earth for polytheism. So one of the relationships in the first allegory is that these beast empires have an intimate relationship with Israel.
Then, of course, that will be the shock for a lot of Jews, because then they will realize when he really reveals himself, oh, this is not the Messiah.
So I could bring somebody back from the dead.
Hey, Bart, good to see you, mate.
His bosom, and nobody would believe him. And then he raised Lazarus from the dead, who was asleep, which because he's human, right? And nobody obviously believed him. When we look at the chronology that Jesus provides in Matthew 24, there's a specific generation that we're not taught about in the church. The people living in the land of the covenant at that time will be permitted to begin their sacrifices again, which cannot happen while Islam is still separate from universal religion.
You can see some of those things happening already, even with the Catholic Church. They just want to include all other religions already and be more open to be okay with everything. There's going to be this millennium kingdom. And then after that, the devil's going to be real.
Guys, I played that thing about the Euphrates and the angels, fallen angels. I played that a few times yesterday when I hung up. I tell you, it's the creepiest sounds I've ever heard. You can see why their hearts will drop in fear. You can see why just by hearing them. And you can hear the chains clanking and everything. It's, man, that's what's coming their way.
Least. But he's going to gather the whole world again. So I think a lot of people also wonder, how is that possible after Jesus' perfect reign on earth? How could that be? Hey guys, welcome back to DLM Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Today we have a very interesting video for you guys. We're going to go back.
So I was quite surprised how no one in hospital knew anything. I didn't push the issue. I threw a few feelers out there, and they don't know that, have no idea what's going on. They're just going to and fro doing their normal stuff, and we're watching them go down.
We're going to talk about how prehistory, the giants, the Nephilim, shape end time prophecy.
Did you see England's got 1 million protesters there, backing England up, and not the Muslims? There's a million normal Englishmen on protests now,
And I actually brought in
and 1 million people.
special guest, someone who wrote the book about it. You can see it right here. Gary Wayne, welcome.
Well, thank you for inviting me back, and so happy to be here today, and so happy to talk about some of the things in book 2 versus book 1, even though they dovetail quite nicely. And I think some of the things we're going to talk about today, is particularly for Christians, and particularly that book 2 is directed directly at Christians and goes deeper into the Bible than I think any other book that's out there. It is totally unique. And it will make the Old Testament come to life, and it'll make end-time prophecy seem straightforward. Right.
Okay, guys, I reckon there probably is a final gospel, the third gospel, because he set up the beginning and the end, the now and the past. So that's what he'll do, I reckon.
And I can say he's not joking around here. I read some of the book and I talked to him a little bit. Well, this is going to get interesting. So let's just jump right into this. But for those of you who might not know Gary Wayne, he spent 45 years researching biblical prophecy, history, and
Whenever I play Gary Wayne, I get a lot more viewers, but I don't abuse it. That's why I show him every now and then.
mythology, uncovering the interesting mysteries of the Bible. He also spent a lot of time with
so
Gnostic
dry.
scriptures, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and Rig Vedas, the Popol Vuh, Epic of Gilgamesh, even the Ugaritic text and other ancient epics, and also language, etymology, and secret society publications. Now, we believe 100% what the Bible says, but it is interesting to study all of these other things as well, ancient history, and see how it connects with the Bible. Now, the 2 books that you can get, please get these books. It is super interesting. The first book is Genesis 6 Conspiracy, How Secret Societies and the Descendants of Giants Plan to Enslave Humankind. And the second book, our title for today, the Genesis 6 Conspiracy Part 2, How Understanding Prehistory and Giants Help Define End-Time Prophecy. Now, if you don't mind, Gary, I'm going to...
Well, I read some of the chapters to his new book, just the headings of them then. Look like interesting writing. I did Gary Wayne.
Started off here with a Bible verse that a lot of people maybe miss, and go back to Genesis when God talked to the devil, and he said in Genesis 3 verse 15, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring, and he shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.
Achilles' heel. Achilles was a giant, so that makes sense. Achilles' heel.
So already there's these 2 lines coming here because there are seeds, and I'm going to leave it to you, Gary, to explain it so that people can get to know you. Go for it.
Yeah, so that's what I call a curse prophecy. And so you get obviously the curse that's going to happen to the serpent and the implications and the consequences for the actions in Eden and participating with Satan and or perhaps even more of the fallen angels to what I call in book 1 call enact Satan's first revenge. And this is now referencing a second revenge as that's going to be fulfilled. And the serpent is the Hebrew word Nahash, and it means a serpent, and it's also rooted in another word that's called
Looks
Nahash.
interesting, Di.
That means a sorcerer, a necromancer, all of these terms that we would associate with wizards and priests of the occult. So this walking, talking, intelligent being is a being that's already in place and is working with fallen angels, and particularly Satan, to bring down humanity. And now we get this very bizarre sort of something that would drive cognizant dissonance, no matter how you're going to look at that. And it's so early on in the Bible, and yet most people just sort of, and as I did, just sort of, as you're reading through the Bible, say, well, whatever that is, I don't want anything to do with it. Of course, you get a lot of that in the Bible because it's the most preternatural book that was ever written. And so when we look at this serpent, I mean, we're not saying that this serpent that is going to create a seed specifically with Eve in that instance, because it's a prophecy. And it's a curse prophecy, just as when you get into the curse of Ham, the curse is going to play out with Canaan, who's not even born yet. And it's a curse prophecy. So it's a style of prophecy that is in the Old Testament. And there are different styles of prophecies, but this one's really unique, and it happens so early on. It's probably the first prophecy. You could look at a few things with the introduction of Attic, and I think it has prophetic implications, but this is a specific prophet saying that there's going to be seed created, walking, talking intelligently as the a fiery or copper serpent-faced angel, a heavenly dragon, as in a dragon creator god.